May I call to order the meeting of the Subcommittee on the Long-Term Housing Strategy. It's already 9:30 and we've formed a quorum. Let's start the meeting now. The first thing is election of the chairman. We need one nomination and one member to second the nomination. Mr. Lam Tai-fai, I nominate Mr. Kwok-hing. Any nominator? Mr. Kwok-chun. All right. Mr. Kwok-hing, do you accept? I do. All right, I declare the nomination is valid. And any other nominations, please? Any other nominations? No? All right. Then I declare Mr. Kwok-hing elected chairman of the subcommittee. Thank you very much. Do we need to elect a deputy chairman? I think we do need a deputy chairman. I nominate Mr. Chair Wai-chun. Do you accept? Mr. Lam Tai, 5 seconds. Mr. Chair Wai-chun, do you accept? I do. All right. Any other nominations? No. Then Mr. Chair Wai-chun elected deputy chairman of the subcommittee. Thank you. Mr. Chair, please come to the head table. The second thing to deal with is scheduled meetings and items for discussion. Yes, please take your seat. Any suggestions, please, Secretariat? Members may consider whether you would like to have monthly meetings or on an ad hoc basis. Now, if members want to meet in January, we can consider the 24th at 8:30 or the 30th of January at 8:30. The first is Thursday, the second is a Wednesday. Wednesday is perhaps better because the council meeting may not run until Thursday, and then we have to come back deliberately for it. If that's the case, then let's make it Wednesday, the same day as the sitting. Well, we have got a paper, CB1 107/1213/03 is a legislative brief on long-term housing strategy. Please refer to Appendix 3 for the paper. And please confirm the terms and reference of work plan of the subcommittee as contained in Appendix 4. Any comments, please? Dr. Fernando Zhang. Thank you, Chairman. There used to be a subcommittee on the long-term housing strategy in the Council. And the research division of the Secretariat had done a few important studies in 1996, 1997, and 98 on long-term housing supply of land, and so forth. I think it's time to update the information in those studies. Land supply, housing demand are important information for us. If the Secretariat can provide us with the basic information that will serve as the background for our discussion, Good. I agree with Dr. Fernando Zhang. So, Secretariat, please collate the relevant information for us. And this term has also discussed this issue. There was a members' motion. So please include the information as well. Dr. Kwok, I agree with Dr. Zhang. Our members may have noted that some academics and stakeholders have views on long-term housing demand as well. And I think we can also learn from practices in our neighboring places such as Singapore. And then we then consider the supply of public housing and also the living space in public housing. I don't know when is the appropriate time to consider such information, but I hope that we can devote 1 or 2 meetings to meeting with academics, probably not just those already in the government's steering committee on long-term housing strategy. As we all know, housing is also a social policy. Perhaps Kwok-hing and Kwok-hing scholars who are quite concerned about the situation in society should be invited to meet with us, so that we can echo the work of the government's work on long-term housing strategy. We can invite the scholars to discuss with us when we come to the appropriate items. Well, I think the development in society would have an impact on long-term housing demand if currently the space allocation per person is just 30-odd square meters. Is the current target? Perhaps we should review this. We always say that the space allocation per person should not be that limited. Mr. Zhe, well, I think there are various views and sayings about the supply of land, and information is rather confusing. Some talk about 500, 4,000, a few hundred flats. Very confusing. Perhaps we should ask for a breakdown of the supply of housing stock from the administration, so at least we have some basic information in hand to facilitate our discussion. Mr. Wu Chiwai. Do we just focus on residential housing? What about revitalization of industrial buildings and the conversion for other users? Are we going to touch this category as well? Yes, I think your suggestion can be incorporated into our discussion because it's related. If members are agreeable, I suggest that we invite the administration to meet with us at the next meeting to give us an account of the discussion of the steering committee on long-term housing strategy. Let's ask the administration to give us a paper so that we can monitor and follow up on the government's discussion, and that's one of the reasons why we have this subcommittee. And on the 7th of November, the Council had a motion debate on how to improve our housing strategy and to resolve the housing problem. There were a dozen or so suggestions covering housing, land supply, short-term, medium-term, and long-term planning. And let's ask the administration to give us a response to these suggestions so we can discuss. Dr. Zhang, rental is rising sharply. Rent control can be a short-term or medium-term or long-term measure. Is it appropriate to discuss rent control here, or will the housing panel be a better forum? Chairman, perhaps you can coordinate with the housing panel. If members think that this is a good forum, then we can do it. Well, I think there is a proper agenda item in the housing panel. It's already on the agenda of the housing panel, that is rent control. Okay. If there are no other points, Dr. Kwok. I think members may want different sets of data on housing demand. I hope we will forward our requests to the secretariat after the meeting, so that during the course of deliberations we can have various studies covering various data. Well, in November there was a detailed debate with more than a dozen suggestions, and there is the original motion and a number of amendments, and the recommendations are already included, and there's no need for me to repeat them. Date of our next meeting, the 30th of January, 8:30 in the morning. It's a Wednesday. Okay, that's confirmed. Any other items? No. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.